So Melissanthi, we've been for the last 3 hours. We've had superstars, superstars. Like you are one of them. I think you're an inspiration to a lot of young performers as well. You figured out a way to bridge both worlds of performance. Like I don't know if you've done a lot of theater. I don't know, but the 2 out of the 3, at least, or all 3 maybe. That's a really crazy thing and hard thing to do in this world, and you've done it at a high level, and I think that's very inspirational. We've done some work together on a couple projects, and super proud of that work, and just watching you work and working with you is very seamless. You're really a great person to work around, and you bring a lot to the table for characters. You just did the Meg 2 with Jason Statham.
Yep, that's a huge one.
You're considered number 2 most beloved Assassin's Creed characters. I think it's number 2 now. I don't know.
I'm probably 8.
I would say number 1. I would say number 1. Selfishly, I don't know. But please tell everybody who you are what you do and what makes you tick. And yes, just do that.
Oh God, it's like the question I'm least good at answering in the world. It's like, how do you summarize this? So I'm, like you said, Melissanthi Mahut. Hi, everyone. I kind of dip toes in a lot of fields related to acting. So there's a lot of theater there. It's about 3 years of drama school in Greece and another 3 of drama school in London. So that's a lot of theater right there. And then there was continuing on with that work, going into actual performances and plays and doing a lot of audio work, and then going into cinema, I think quite late, although it was the thing that I initially wanted to do, but I thought that the correct way to approach it was to kind of go through a more classical study field, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, I did so much of it that at the end, I was like, right, I forgot why I started doing this. I was like, it was cinema. Let's go back to doing that. And so I dedicated quite a lot of time to trying to get into that field afterwards. And I think it's interesting to approach, because obviously this field has certain ways of expression, and I like kind of diving into one and trying to figure out how it works, try to kind of tear it apart, if you will. And then once I realize that I've kind of gotten to about 50% of it, then I'll leave it there like yeast to kind of do its own thing, and then move on to the next bit, which is then voice work, then do some recon, then figure it out, and then kind of leave it alone. Because if, you're constantly hovering over something, it never actually amounts to much. You need to let it breathe. You need to give it breathing space. And that kind of brought me to video games, which I had not heard of that much acting in video games when I got into it. And now I kind of hate it when everyone goes, oh my God, there's acting in video games. And I'm like, yeah, didn't you know? I was just one of these people for the longest time.
I mean, even myself, I didn't know that they actually play out the scenes.
Yes.
I thought like half of it is hand animated, half of it is mocap, but almost 99% of scenes are actually acted out in real time.
Yeah, and with the likeness of someone like her.
That's very weird as well. Like, it's their likeness. Like it's not like you're playing a random creature or random human. It's you're playing yourself in a video game.
Which is why you never tell a video game actor that they're a video game actor or a voice actor in video games. They are an actor. They're a performer, right?
Even now she's performing, so I love it really.
in a way, yeah. So please continue. Please continue.
No, but like to kind of, because I didn't really know that much about it. So when I actually, when the game was out and I watched like the cinematic bits specifically, because those were the bits that I was like, oh, I want to check and see how it ended up or how it turned out. I was like, oh my God, it's so weird because it's like me, but it's not like me at all. And then it has my expressions, but it's not like it's uncanny valley
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, there was a lot of like eye rolling, which was like, yeah, there I am, just kind of disapproving of everyone. So yeah, where was I? Don't remember. So yeah, I got into the field of video games, and it was just I found it so fascinating that it was such a combination of kind of a little bit of everything that I'd done before. So because there was a lot of attention to detail in facial expressions, it was very much like cinema. Because there was attention to detail in like more big moves, it was very theatrical. At the same time, you're mic'd, and at the same time, so it is voice acting as well. And it's like a little bit of everything, right? And it was, I think I've mentioned this a lot in the past, but for me, the most important takeaway from that experience was that it is very, what's the best way to describe it? Because there is no stigma, because there is no load on this field yet from actors, like imposed by actors, it is extremely liberating. And you don't have to conform to a norm. You don't need to comply to something. You don't need to look a specific way. You don't need to act a specific way. It's very free for interpretation. It's very free to kind of play around and use your imagination, which for me was the most intriguing. And I mean, the bit that I take away and the bit that makes me go, oh my God, I wish I could just do this.
Wow.
yeah.
So when you go from like a project, a big AAA game, like in Assassin's Creed or whatever other projects you've done in recent times, and then you step onto a set with CG and pyrotechnics and Jason Statham, like, do you feel like you're in the wrong place sometimes? And you're like, where, like, which place do you feel like you have the belonging? Is it just the character you're playing that you find and that's really your safe space? Or do you sometimes wish you had a little bit of each thing in the other?
I think I wish I had a bit of each thing in the other. That's kind of more accurately put. But I think, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, because it could sound like I'm disrespecting, because everyone has a job to do on a film set. And things need to look a specific way. There's continuity to take into consideration. But because there is so much attention to the tiniest details, like, oh my God, this hair wasn't here, the hair was here, or, the speck of dust wasn't right there, it was there. It kind of loses a little bit, it loses that spontaneity, which I find like the mocap floor has a lot more of. Yes, it is more technical, but I can't really describe it. It's a technical thing, but there's a lot more wiggle room within it.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that if you were to tell me, would you rather be on a film set or on a mocap floor? Hands down, I'd always say mocap floor.
Yeah, me too. And I being directing performers on both, and really finding my first being, okay, so I used to tell my friends that I was in detention in high school. And I was sneaking into theater and learning how to work stage lights. And watching performers from up the second floor, trying to keep a light on them, it did something to me. Like, it was like, oh my God, I gotta understand this. And I don't know what the hell it was. And that made me steal my neighbor's camera. Or borrowed it forever, which I tell people. And, it brought me closer and closer to the actor, to the performance itself. And you getting in the mindset.
Yeah.
But going through that journey, even with all that, doing films, doing TV, all that, being on a mocap set with amazing people, there's something about it that is special I wish I could capture in a jar and share it with everybody. I can't put it into words to describe.
It's difficult, right? It's very difficult to put it into words. And I think it just has to do also with for me, it's always about the people. And I find that kind of environment always welcomes people that care and love the job first and foremost. And there's very little, I've found, at least in my experience, very little ego.
Definitely.
Right.
And that is just so refreshing.
Yeah.
There's less stress, there's less ego, and it just creates an environment where you go, okay, let's play.
Yeah, and there's something funner about it, and less on film sets there's this like rigidness, and we were actually just talking to someone that is from the film world too, and we talked about that rigidness and the freeform that you're mentioning. There's less room for that, right? So, by the way, I think we should probably mention the elephant in the room of us being in Macedonia. We're literally in Macedonia, by the way, and bringing awareness to Macedonia. Woo! There's a whole crowd behind you.
I just realized there are more people.
There's a bunch of
There's a
other people
whole
in the back.
thing going on, and by the way, this is going out to thousands of people, like all over the world. So, not that you're stage
a heads up.
Not that she's stage fright.
I'm just now checking the background. Is there anything?
They're behind you. Watch out.
But there's one, like you're from Greece as well, like you said, and right before this, like an hour ago, we were joking with Ned Luke, and he was like, Macedonia over Greece and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Like when we are on set, like even with us, we filmed with Turkish people, we filmed with all kinds of people. It doesn't really matter.
No.
It's the passion that is connecting us.
It doesn't matter at all. Like we were filming, I don't know what's like football animations with mocap and stuff like that, and it was like we don't care who it is. Like,
you know what's interesting, and I don't know, maybe everyone else maybe feels this way too. But when you get together with a group of people and you make something, politics and issues and all this crap goes out the door, and people actually come together. And like, I don't care who you are and what you believe. Like, hey, you want to make something really kick-ass together? Then you're a family member, for that time, a creative family member. And this is an important thing. This is an important thing. In our world of diverse, like crazy divisiveness and people hating each other based on narratives and this and that, and left and right, and this rich and poor, color, skin, I mean, it's all a story, and it's not the story we should be telling. The story we should be telling is how do we find areas and things where we can come together? And what better way to come together than making a great kick-ass project with somebody and creating friendships that are forever?
Yeah, I mean, when the credits roll, it doesn't say Melissa from there. It says Melissa, just her name,
exactly,
or from the studio.
And guess what? And guess what name is next to her? Everyone else that was there.
Yeah,
it doesn't separate. Well, kind of you have sections, but not really. Whatever. But
that's a different type of segregation.
I mean, creativity always played that role, I think, and that's one of the important things about it, isn't it?
I think so.
Definitely.
Is that it brings people together, and you kind of forget about the petty, stupid political problems that put people against each other in the first place. So creative projects and art and just creativity altogether, it's the one thing that constantly has the ability to delete everything else because it doesn't matter, and bring people together and have them bond and connect, which is what matters, and produce something out of that. And it's unique.
I love that.
It's the same, like I mentioned about the passion. So I wanted to ask you, what was your best passionate project, and also the best lines? Even so, if you can act them out here.
Man.
Something that we would like to see.
One of your favorite lines.
Oh my God. Well, I know there's I got to swear a lot in Assassin's Creed, which I really liked.
we had Ned Luke before.
I'm big vanilla right now. I'm just really trying to reel everything back, because normally I swear a lot. So having a project, and normally I'll go to the director or or the script writer and be like, can we just add this maybe here, or just kind of present it this way? And I always kind of try to work a swear word in. Also, I try to work in
Greek swear words,
my own little Easter eggs.
Yeah,
So tell a friend, like, tell me a line that you want me to put in the film, or tell me a word that you like me to try and get into the film.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I
That's
mean,
great.
that's what we do as well, like
Yeah.
all the time.
It's
like,
all about that.
It's
Oh,
because
I like
like the general
I
audience
love
is
doing
still-
this. So there was this one time that I tried to do it, and I think this started because we were doing this play, and it was this play by Lorca, and it had 7 women in it, and we were all acting together for like 2 years. We were exhausted by this point. It was like very intense drama, and everyone dies in the end, you know. And so we were
Nice
just
spoiler.
drained, and we'd gone on tour with the play, and it's like we were just dropping like flies one by one. Everyone was having like a mental breakdown. And so I went to my friend at the time and I said, you know what, I have this crazy idea. Just go with me on this one. She's like, yeah, what is it? I was like, can we just, and this is like a classic play. You can't really screw around with it that much, but I was like, let's do it. And so like in an auditorium of like 1,000 people, 2,000 people, it was like, let's just try if we can squeeze this word in. I was like, oh, okay. So we tried this. Then everyone started figuring that something was going on with the two of us, and suddenly everyone wanted in on the game. And then the purpose was to insert the randomest words. So this was like a play set in Spain in the 1800s, I think. And then we were trying to be like, okay, let's screw this up. Let's add the word air conditioner.
Did anybody pick up on it?
No.
Oh my
it
god.
made it into the final cut.
Yeah, oh my
Nobody
god.
did. But we had the most fantastic time on stage because obviously everyone, so then the way we'd started is like first 2 people were involved, then 3, then 4. It's more fun that way because you get to screw around with everyone else. And so it was precious, that moment where you're just waiting to see the reaction of everyone else, because people in the play, they know everyone's lines by heart by that point, right? So it's just like this is one note that hits, and especially if you've been doing a play for like 2 years, you're just drained. You're just like, I'm done. And then suddenly they get this new word, and they're like, what was that? And it was great how you just saw everyone engage with it again. Everyone got interested in it again because it was like a challenge at the same time. It's like, okay, I want to play. Give me a weird one.
Oh, I love that.
Skateboard.
That's
It's
great.
like
But
rural
we didn't heard about the line, so that you like to share.
the lines. So obviously, Malacca is one of them.
That's the one.
I think that one's famous. That one's famous.
Yeah, that one's famous as well.
It's Joe. I had somebody from Argentina texted me a year ago on Instagram saying, oh, you know, my husband and I just had our baby girl. She's like, 6 months old, 7 months old or something. And we were playing the game, and guess what her first word was?
Malacca.
I was like,
Malacca.
oh no.
No way. Oh my god.
And that's all.
I wonder if
And
you
they were so
course correct
proud.
that. Is that? I mean, that's a good thing. I think. I don't know if it is or not.
No.
We've been cursing all day because we had Ned Luke from GTA just like cursing up a storm. So now we've been cursing more.
He wanted to take out the whole country.
Yeah, and he said he wanted to take out the whole country.
Yeah, he wanted to
He wanted
destroy
to
the whole country.
blow up the whole country, which we're not going to do. We're not going to do that.
It means wanker, but the thing is that it's ended up being one of these words that you use so often that it can mean like brother, dudes. Like it's as you clearly saw in the game, you can use it for anything.
Yeah, and it was used.
Flirt with someone and use Malacca. It's
it's just expressiveness. Like
there's actually a gym in I live in California, and I'm driving, and I see Malacca Jiu-Jitsu, and I was like, I'm like, what is that? Does it mean like it's bad, like shitty Jiu-Jitsu or something? Like. But it looks like, it's open. It must be good. But that was like, what is that? It's so weird.
Yeah.
Melissanthi, I have a question for you for maybe to think about inspiring your younger self. What you would, if you could walk through a door right now and see 15-year-old you, I don't know when you actually started like getting the itch for like performance, maybe earlier than that. Like, and imagine that person's also, you know, some young woman in the crowd in a similar position, or, you know, somebody that wants to get into performing or anything. Like, what would you say to yourself? You know, how would you greet yourself?
I'd say don't try to do everything right. There's no point. Fuck up as much as you can.
We're hearing a lot of that, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
we're hearing a lot of that.
This is the only way you learn. And if you're afraid that you're going to try something and it's not going to be perfect or it's not going to be great, you're basically guaranteeing lack of growth.
Right.
Or lack of education or lack of getting better at something. Because the only way you get better at something is by trying. Now, if you're one of those lucky people that just try and get it right the first time, great, fantastic. But that's not going to happen forever. So I think the earlier you figure out that it is absolutely okay to not get it right,
Right.
that is the best thing I could tell myself then. And I think it's just, I keep trying to remind myself now, it's like, you've realized this, apply it, damn it. And it's hard to kind of, to hold on to that realization, because you do want to do things right. You know, especially when you like what you do, you know, you want it to be the best possible result, but it's okay if it isn't, you know?
Yeah. You know, that's the common message that everyone in, you know, the people that have been coming to this, and by the way, we hope next year maybe you can come in person. And
that'd be great. I'd love to.
I mean, we'd love to have you here. But the common message that all these great people that are coming and talking with us, and something I've been advocating is, you know, mess up quick, fail fast, and that's probably your biggest success. And you don't realize it until way later, and you know, holy shit, like that was the thing that made me, you know. And we all have these in our lives, and this is the thing that we need to lean into, you know, and discover that. Don't discover that fact too late, you know, because it might be a little too late. But you know, I think that was really a really honest and insightful, you know, echo that we've been hearing. And I think it's really important for especially people in Macedonia where they feel like they're in a shadow in the world, where they don't get it.
Even the whole Eastern.
Even the whole Balkans.
It's the whole Balkan area.
They don't get, I can't get a job because there's no studios for me here. Or how am I supposed to compete with this person? Or how do I even get started here? You know, and it's not really about any of that. It's about you making the decision to go for it and taking a chance and not giving up and embracing failure. Actually, the success will come. You know,
Definitely.
You know, so that's such a great message. So thank you for that.
Round of applause for Melissa.
Yeah.
How
much time we have?
We have a little bit more than like
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
5 minutes.
Melissanthi, is there any stuff that you want to plug? I mean, we have a project we can't talk about that comes out sometime soon. Awesome project. We had a lot of fun doing that. Is there anything that you want to plug? You just had a huge movie. Like, that was really, congratulations. That was kick-ass. If anybody's seen The Meg 2? Yes?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right here.
Here she is.
Here she is. Hello. Anything cool coming out? Like, can you talk about anything? You got it? What's next, actually? Like, where do you... I have two questions. Where is your journey going to? What do you want to do next? And then anything you want to plug?
Okay, journey. This is something that I'm really bad at, in the sense that I don't plan ever. I just kind of, because I find that it stresses me out to plan. And I found that so far, not planning things, I don't know, things seem to have like this natural flow. So even if there's a lull, there's a reason for the lull. I use the lull and I try and learn a different skill. So I think not planning has worked out really well for me so far. So, which is like, my instinctive reaction is like, what have you planned? I'm like, fuck no, nothing. Not a thing. But so, for example, because this year, yes, there are a couple of projects that we're waiting on to be released at some point in this year. Not sure if I can talk about But I mean, because the strike pushed everything so far back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, these projects were meant to be out now, but they still haven't finished shooting. So it's just it's really slightly complicated. But because of the strike, which lasted so long, I decided to take my own advice and kind of go, you know what? I'm going to try something different. So I took a course in production, and I wrote a script, which I'd been putting off because I thought I couldn't, like, and I was like, no, I'll never be able to write a script. I can't write a script. It's so hard. And then I just kind of started writing, and I was like, oh, okay. So when my brain doesn't get in my own way, I can actually, okay, right, good to know, you know? And this was like an extra validation of that theory again, is like, just shut up and do it.
Wow.
Basically. So yeah, that worked. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it. I'm thinking about it. I mean, I'm discussing with a couple of avenues. But yeah, so that's what happened this last year. And there's a couple of projects, but then again, I can't really say that much about them. So.
Well, I mean, that's really cool that you're starting to get into writing and all that. You know,
it's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late. Like somebody with success,
even to change a career.
Like imagine that. Like you have this success and you're like, oh, I have a lull. Well, I'm gonna do something. Like, I'm gonna keep learning and growing.
Our oldest student was, I think, 64.
Wow.
So something like that.
Wow.
So literally, like after the midlife crisis and everything, then he was like, okay, I want to get into games. I want to print 3D print stuff, and I want to do things.
And he was an actor.
Yeah, he was actually a famous.
Also, we
he's
have
still a master.
Famous students with 44 years, something like that, with 4 kids.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
And he's very good.
Wow, I love that. I love hearing stuff like that.
And his energy and the passion. So I'm very happy to see that passion and energy in you. Yeah. And also, I wanted to ask about: is there any Easter eggs in the Meg movie?
Oh. Any Easter eggs in Meg?
Curse words.
Things that I put in. I think something made it in. So obviously you never really know because they don't keep the takes. Like they don't keep all the takes, so they can edit bits out.
Any good stories?
I've seen it once, so I don't really remember.
That's okay.
What actually made it into
what was your best takeaway working on that project? Well, it's like
insane learning curve, insane learning experience.
Really? In what way?
Yeah. And that I understood like a lot of the backstage stuff, and also because the director of photography and a lot of the camera crew were extremely kind and helpful and explained everything. It helped understand a lot more technical things, which I always wanted to do. Because I'm the way my brain operates is if I like something, I dissect it. So I wanna know every aspect about it.
Yeah.
So I love film, and like I'm gonna dissect. I'm gonna go into the script, the production, the camera, everything. I
actually remember on the moment where you were very curious about the lens. Just a couple minutes. The lens focal length, and you definitely adjusted very quickly to that, and you were like really listening to what we were trying to do, and I found that very you were being insightful about the response to that, and that was always something that I took away. I was like, wow, she really is like you're really trying to understand the mindset of what we were trying to achieve with that particular shot that we were doing, and your reaction to that really sold the selling point of what we were actually achieving. And I think that's important. And like what kind of lens is this? What are you doing with this camera move? Like why? I think that's really valuable for a performer.
Because I can adapt to that then. And then then everything is like a choreography. It's like a finely tuned thing.
Right.
You know, it's not independent cogs in a machine. It's like I understand this. I can tweak this to make this easier for you, and then then it just kind of works. Yeah, and I think the symbiotic relationship, and we'll leave it with this symbiotic relationship on a set, whether it's film, whether you're making a game in a pipeline in a studio, and maybe you're not even on the mocap set. Maybe not all of you don't like that side of it. There's still the harmony of working together in a group and figuring things out and
finding balance between each other as artists or performers or directors or teachers, right?
Yeah.
So let that be kind of another message here, of adapting with people and not building a wall between people, and hearing and listening to what other people are saying and letting that kind of help influence the thing that you're trying to achieve that is connected to the other thing that someone else is making. And I guess with that, Melissanthi, is there anything to take us home? We appreciate you being here, obviously. Is there anything else that you'd like to, say to everybody?
Wrap things up.
Wrap things up.
I'd like to thank you for having me here, and I'd love to, if possible, be there in person next year.
Yeah, you'll be close to home as well.
It would be great.
Yes.
And then I'll probably remember more lines from my film
There we
next
go.
year.
There we go. Well, Melissanthi, you'll probably be
And
joining.
wish everyone best of luck.
Oh, thank you so much.
Let's give a round of applause.
Well, thank you. Well, with that, thank you. And I think that's it for, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
We'll catch you
Melissanthi. I'll talk to you later on. What's up?
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.